Right, welcome back, colleagues. Like I told you, I did not want to miss the topic of organizational climate with organizational culture, which is why we took a short break. So the topic now is organizational climate. Can you see? Organizational climate. What is organizational climate when we talk about climate? Can you see? For instance, when we talk about climate, what comes to your mind? Definitely, what comes to our mind when we talk about climate is maybe we'll talk about the atmosphere. When we talk about climate, when we talk about climate, we think about the sunshine. When we talk about climate, we think about the rainfall. When we talk about climate, we think about the weather. When we talk about climate, we think about the nature of the environment. Can you see? Atmosphere. Can you see? So just like we have the natural atmosphere or the natural climate within the external environment, that is the same way we have climate within organization. Can you see? The atmosphere of an organization, the weather of an organization. Is the organization stormy? Is the organization a rainbow organization or a happy organization? Can you see? So that is actually what comes to mind when we talk about organizational climate. What is the climate within that organization? What is the prevailing climate within that organization? How do people perceive things within that organization? How do people relate to one another within that organization? Can you see? So depending on how people relate, then we can say, oh, the climate in this environment, in this organization is a very good climate. But if the organization is toxic, full of war, crisis, backbiting, conflict, we can say, no, the climate in this organization is not really a good one or a favorable one. It's quite toxic. And you see, it looks gloomy, you know. But when we see a very good climate within an organization, we say, oh, wow, quite a peaceful, quite a loving environment, you know. And I think this is an organization that I may desire to work for because of the calm, peaceful climate that you perceive or that you observe when you visited such organization or anytime you visit such organization. Can you see? Now, when we go back to the textbook model, seriously, organizational climate applied to organizations. When we talk about organizational climate, applied to organization, climate refers to when climate applies to organization, it refers to the prevailing atmosphere. You remember I told you about atmosphere. The prevailing atmosphere surrounding the organization. Can you see? The prevailing atmosphere surrounding the organization. And of course, the level of morale within that organization. Can you see? If the atmosphere is good, certainly there will be high morale within that organization. But if the atmosphere is bad and terrible and gloomy, certainly there will be low morale in such kind of organization. So the morale, the level of morale is also reflected in the climate of an organization. The strength of feeling of belonging, can you see? The strength of feeling of belonging is also part of organizational climate. The strength of feeling of belonging, can you see? Some people can be in an organization, but they don't feel they belong there. Can you see? They're just going there just because they need to earn a living. But they know in their heart of heart, they know in their inner mind that this is not the place to be. Can you see? So there are instances, most of you have worked with different organizations. There are organizations that you must have worked for previously, and you say, wow, that was her. Can you see? But also, there are certain organizations that you are working for or you must have worked for before, but you feel that you belong there somehow. To the extent that if you move to another organization, you start telling yourself, oh, I don't think I belong here. I belong to that first organization. Can you see? If you are the type that jump from job to job, can you see? You begin to regret, why did I leave that organization? Because your mindset, your perspective, your conviction tells you that somehow you belong to that particular organization. Why? Because you have that strength of feeling of belonging to that organization. You are appreciated for whom you are. You are rewarded for your contribution. You are welcome anytime in that organization. Nobody is intimidating you within that organization. Nobody is bullying you within that organization. Nobody is showing any atom of racism or xenophobia or whatever within that particular organization. So you have the strength of the feeling of belonging to that organization. Can you see? And having the strength of feeling of belonging makes you also to be committed to that organization. In fact, to a great extent, you become an organizational citizen of that particular organization. That is where the topic of organizational citizenship comes to play. That is to say, you will like to identify yourself with that particular organization because you have this sense of belonging to that particular organization. And of course, in terms of reflecting on climate also refers to care, caring for one another, care and goodwill among members. Can you see? When members within that organization care for one another. And of course, goodwill, I remember there was a day my car got stuck. I think my battery went flat because my light was on a rainy day, And I can remember while I was trying to call the AA that will help me to recharge my battery, some of my colleagues just saw me. Oh, Wilfred, what are you doing here? I told them my situation. They didn't leave until my car get back to operation. Can you see? My car started. They were with me, gisting. Have you called them? Until they came and they serviced the car and we all left. I think I felt really kind of cared for. My colleagues were caring for me. So that is how you feel in terms of an organization that have a very good climate. Can you see? Care and goodwill among members. Can you see? That is one aspect of climate. And the last one, climate refers to an indication of the employees' feelings and belief of what the organization is about. I say an indication of the employees' feelings and belief of what the organization is about. Can you see? Certainly, if there is a kind of impeccable climate, if there is a kind of good climate, everybody will know what the organization is all about. They can talk about the organization. They can defend the organization. They can speak much about the organization. It's not a secret society. Can you see? It's an organization where transparency prevails. It is an organization where there is open interaction. It is an organization where there is a kind of manager-subordinate relationship. So as such, even subordinate can talk much about the organization. And you see, because of the prevailing climate. Can you see? It's not a climate of intimidation. It's not a climate of bullying. It's not a climate of infighting. It's not a climate of conflict. Can you see? It's not a climate of dispute unnecessary dispute. Can you see? So as such, employees feels and believe in what the organization is all about, and they can talk about what the organization is all about, the organizational objective, the organizational mission, the organizational vision, and of course the organizational role to society. Is that clear? Fantastic. We'll progress. Now, with regards to climate, Atkinson and Frechette proposed 6 dimensions of organizational climate. According to Atkinson and Frechette, they said there are 6 dimensions to organizational climate. And what are they? The first one there is clarity. The second one there is commitment. The third one there is standards. The fourth one there is responsibility. The fifth one there is recognition. And the sixth one there is teamwork. Can you see? Now let's talk about the clarity. According to Atkinson and Frechette, clarity simply means understanding the organization's goal. Can you see? Members of the organization must understand the organization's goal. Where are we going to? What is the objective of that organization? So members must understand what is the organization's goal. Can you see? What is the aim of the organization? Why is the organization in existence? What are they pursuing? What is their target? Can you see? As such, members must understand full well what the organization's goal is all about. Can you see? Then the next one is, of course, they must also understand the policy. I told you about policy. Policy is what guides organization action. Can you see? So lay down policy so that people may not act or traverse within that organization. So they follow the lay down policy. And I told you there are organization policies, there are national policies, there are, of course, also international policies. Can you see? So policy guides people. So every member of an organization must understand policies, which is why even at times employees, when they enter into a new organization, when they are giving them induction training, they give them some of the policies of the organization. They give them written policies, and of course they can advise them to go, and also this is where you can see each of the policies around how things are done within this organization. Disciplinary policy, retirement policy, employment policy, different kind of policies, sexual harassment policy, and so many other policies within organization. So these organization may have many policies affecting different things. Even within the education system, we have plagiarism policy, which of course we academics adhere to, and of course you yourself, the students, you also adhere to the plagiarism policy of the University of Johannesburg or our university. Those are part of policies. Can you see? So if you break that policy, certainly as a student, you face disciplinary hearing, and either maybe you may be expelled, or you may be totally removed from the institution, or you may be suspended, in terms of either expulsion or suspension from pursuing your goals. Can you see? The same thing applies to academics. If you break the rules in terms of plagiarism policy, you have to face disciplinary action within the academic environment. And that can even lead to a dismissal if care is not taken. So people must understand the policies of an organization as well as the requirement of their jobs. Can you see? Can you see? People must understand, employees must understand what is required of them in their jobs. Can you see? Because that is the purpose why they were in the first place recruited or selected to be in that particular organization. Can you see? So definitely there is a need for them to know the requirement of their job, either through job description and of course the job design, which is of course part of job analysis. Can you see? Which include job description, job design, and all the rest. So definitely employees must understand, can you see, the requirement of their jobs. Can you see? That is one of the dimensions of organizational climate. If they understand, if they know their goal, the goals of the organization, if they know the policy of the organization, and of course understand the requirement of their job or the tasks they are required to do in that organization, certainly they will perceive the organization as a fair organization, and they will perceive the climate as a very pleasant climate, or a very good organizational climate. Then the next one there is commitment. Can you see? Commitment is another one according to Atkin and Fletcher. Commitment, that is continuing dedication to common purpose. Continuing dedication to common purpose. That is to say, the organization must delineate the common purpose. Can you see? The common purpose, which is of course known as shared goals. Can you see? And there should be a kind of continue, everybody must dedicate to that particular common purpose, that shared goal. Can you see? So that is to say that this dedication to a given goal brings about commitment. Can you see? And when everybody is committed to that goal, there is harmony. There is something that is uniting everybody. That is the purpose, the common purpose, the shared goal of the organization. So when there is continuous commitment to that shared goal or common purpose, that to a great extent harmonizes people, because people will work as a team, people will work as a group towards the achievement of that common purpose. Under such circumstances, there will be a kind of palatable climate within that organization, a very good climate within that organization, because there's something that is uniting people, that is focusing on the shared goals of the organization, not people having their own different goals within the organization. And that reinforces the topic on MBO, which is of course management by objective, that in fact organization must have a specific goal, and those goals must also trickle down to the functional areas within the organization, that particular goal, and that have to also trickle down to the subordinates. Can you see? So everybody must be focused on that particular objective, which is of course what management by objective is all about, which was initiated by Peter Drucker. Is that clear? Fantastic. All right. Then the next one is standards. Standard. That is emphasis management place on high performance standard. Can you see? Emphasis that management places on high performance standard. That is to say, that also creates a kind of good climate. Can you see? When management places emphasis on high performance standard instead of low performance standard. Can you see? Then standardization will make everybody now to know that yes, we are working for a kind of high performance standard, and that brings a kind of harmony, not a situation where some are working and some are drawing others back. A high performance articulation by management will make everybody to know, yes, this is what the management expects every one of us. So people will be more focused in terms of achieving high performance standard rather than conflicting themselves within that particular organization. So high performance standard also warrant standard approach to doing things. In terms of calculating standard in cost accounting, you can see that we use things like standard costing and variance analysis. And of course, in terms of our budget, we use budgetary controls, in terms of trying to achieve high performance standard within that organization. So, which will make everybody to be focused in achieving high performance standard rather than doing something else within that particular organization. Is that clear? Fantastic. Then the next one in terms of the 6 dimensions of organizational climate is, of course, responsibility. Responsibility, and responsibility is still coming out here. You remember when we spoke about delegation of power, or delegation, the topic on delegation, responsibility came as a very, very important element of delegation. Now, responsibility to the degree to which people feel responsible for their work. Can you see? The degree to which people feel responsible for their work. So if you know that this is your work and you are in charge of it, you have taken responsibility to execute that work, certainly you will like to do a very great job or an impeccable work, so that at least people will say, oh, he's the owner of this work, he did this. Rather than somebody is bullying you, commanding you, controlling you, and, that can actually mal performance. So sometimes giving people responsibility in terms of how they do their work, allowing people some freedom, some level of freedom, some level of flexibility, some level of autonomy in terms of how they execute the daily operation, can actually lead to a kind of good performance or good work if we relocate it to performance standard. And of course, that can create a kind of good organizational climate, because people will feel very satisfied. People will love to work. People now will use their initiative. People will not work like a robot. They'll be able to use their senses, their number 6. And of course, they will be able to contribute to the organization. Can you see? So, responsibility, the degree to which people feel responsible for their work. Then the next one is, of course, recognition. Recognition, that is feeling of being recognized. Can you see? There are certain organizations, somebody may work and work and work and work, perform more than others, but because he is not in the good book of the manager, he may not be recognized. Can you see? He may not be recognized while the manager is recognizing even those who are not performing up to standard. Can you see? But recognition reinforces someone to do more within an organization. If you recognize somebody for the good work he has done, for his contribution, certainly there is every possibility that he will contribute more and do more, so that at least he can be recognized in future. Can you see? And recognition can be in the form of certificate, in the form of patting of the back. Oh, you did a good job. Thank you very much. I really appreciate how you did it. Can you see? Recognition reinforces commitment. Recognition reinforces performance. Recognition reinforces motivation. Recognition reinforces leadership. Can you see? So, and of course, in addition to recognition, reward for a good job. That will certainly create a kind of a good climate. If somebody is not recognized and rewarded for exceptional performance, then maybe he has done something very impeccable, and you just gave everybody a flat recognition without identifying the person doing an exceptional job in the organization. Certainly, the negative aspect of equity theory comes into play there. Because he will check what he's doing with what others are doing, and he's not recognized. So that could lead to demotivation. He may become demoralized and demotivated within the organization. So recognizing someone for exceptional job reinforces motivation, reinforces commitment, reinforces job satisfaction, reinforces great organizational climate or good organizational climate. Is that clear? Fantastic. Now the next one is, of course, teamwork. Teamwork. Can you see? Teamwork. Teamwork simply means sense of organizational cohesion, mutual support, trust, and pride. Can you see? Teamwork. Teamwork creates a kind of good organizational climate, or a healthy climate, or a beautiful climate within an organization. Can you see? So, and of course, teamwork brings a kind of sense of cohesion. When people work as team, it brings a kind of sense of cohesion. They cohere. They work in fusion. Can you see? And it also reinforces mutual support, where people support one another. Can you see? Mutual support. Can you see? Something that nobody is spoiling or forcing you to do, but because you work in team, you see your colleague as a team player. Can you see? That reinforces how you support your colleague. Can you see? And of course, trust and pride. You know, trust and pride. Remember when we spoke about trust, we did mention the fact that trust begat trust, and mistrust begat mistrust. Can you see? So, of course, when we work as a team, when we work in a team, certainly trust between colleagues and trust between the leader and subordinate is reinforced. And that brings all about pride. Pride in the organization that you work for. When there is harmonious relationship, when there is trust relationship, when there is mutual support, you feel a sense of pride. Can you see? In the organization that you are working for. You know, I remember when I was applying for my promotion from associate professor to a full professor. When I wrote my memo to describe how I feel about UJ, you know, it was impeccable. It was a case of pride, you know. My feeling about UJ, right from when I joined UJ, an institution that has taken a stronger global reach, and of course that have imparted so many students in Africa, you know, something of that nature. And of course, the way things are done, you know, you feel like this is your home, this is the place to be. Can you see? You know, so that is the pride, you know, in your organization, a sense of pride, you know, because you are recognized for what you do in that particular organization. All right, fantastic. Then we progress. Now, yes, I think this is another topic. I would like to take a few minutes break now again because it's a new topic which has to do with organizational change, which is the last lap in terms of your semester work. Can you see? So let's just take 5 minutes comfort break and come back to start attending to the new topic on the organizational change. Have a wonderful time and keep well. See you later. Bye.